So today I want to talk about cycling. And before you run off, it's not going to be about racing or mountain biking. It's going to be about just recreational bicycling. So welcome back to Rebel Retirement, where we talk about all things retirement and how you can determine what you value through a just-in-time retirement mindset. Let's go back to the beginning. I presume that you know how to ride a bike. Most people know how to ride a bike. And it's something that once we learn how to do it, we always know how to do it. It's one of those things, right? So when Rebel Retiree and I lived in the suburbs, we had road bikes. And those were fast bikes, and sometimes we'd find ourselves riding, maybe at 20 miles an hour through the neighborhood. But when we moved, we had to sell those bicycles, and we sold them at a garage sale. And so when we came up to Kalispell, we lived in a really nice walkable town. It was one of those towns like into Kill a Mockingbird, something that I had always wanted to move to a place like that. So that was a dream come true for me in terms of having the ability to walk different places, to the library, to playgrounds, to grocery stores, coffee shops. So we really had a very nice time in Kalispell, and it also had great bicycling opportunity. They had rails to trails that were very conveniently located. So we bought a couple of bikes for us and also for our kids, and they were Kmart bikes. And so they were fine for a while. We used those Kmart bikes, and we even used them to cycle the Hiawatha. If you've never cycled the Hiawatha and you have the opportunity to do so, I highly recommend it. It's the Hiawatha in Idaho, and it goes over all of these different train trestles and also through various tunnels, and it's just a great family experience. So anyway, getting back to the cycling in Kalispell, we would ride around every evening, ride our bikes. And after the Hiawatha, though, we realized we needed to get some bicycles that didn't hurt our butts so much and that we didn't struggle with so much. So we went to the local bike shop, and Wheaton's was really great. They, were very helpful, and they asked us, well, what do you want to do? What's the purpose of your riding? And we said, well, we just want to ride around. So they let us take a test drive on some Trek bicycles, and those bikes just really wanted to roll. And it was just totally different from the Kmart bikes that we had been riding. And so we said, okay, well, we need to buy some bikes if we're going to be doing this. So we bought those Treks, and we started riding around the neighborhood every evening and getting stronger and stronger, riding around the neighborhood. And we went out on the rails to trails, and it was a great experience. I always felt like I had accomplished something when I would take these long bicycle rides. And we had the opportunity to cycle on the Sun Road. We lived about 35 miles from Glacier National Park, so Kalispell is, on the way to Glacier. Columbia Falls is actually what they call the gateway to Glacier. We did live in Columbia Falls as well for a while. And so anyway, we would ride our bikes in Glacier, and we did have the opportunity to ride the Sun Road. And what that entails is before the road is open to visitors for summer, before the full going to the Sun Road where people drive their cars, you can walk or bike or, just go out there and recreate. So we rode our bikes up there. And the first time we went up there, we went to the tunnel on the west side, and that was grueling. It was a grueling experience, and by the time I had gotten to Packer's Roost, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to do this? And I wrote an article about this, and in the article I said I thought that I was going to die, and that's the truth. I was pushing myself so hard that I could have just had a heart attack, and that wouldn't have been surprising. But anyway, I kept going and made it, to the tunnel, and that was a very satisfying experience. And then the next year we went up to Birdwoman Falls, and so our intention was to cycle up to the loop, but people were out there cycling, and you kind of get motivated by the other people. And we decided, well, we might as well keep pushing, forward to Bird Woman Falls. So you could get off your bike and walk. You can get back on your bike and ride, because it's really difficult. And we were up in our late 50s, I guess, at the time, or early 60s. Anyway, yeah, we were not exactly kids when we did this. Okay, so it's even hard for kids. I mean, what am I saying? It's not really that easy. Some people look like they're just cycling along, and it's not a big deal. But when I saw this older woman who, at the time, looked like she was a very young woman from behind. You ever see those people that you can't tell their age because their body is so physically fit and they are in such shape, and then when you see their face, you realize, that they're older? Well, that's how this woman was. And when I saw her, and I'm like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. So we pushed forward, and we went to Bird Woman Falls, and that was very, very rewarding. And I think this is what I get from cycling, is that feeling of satisfaction and the reward that, sometimes it's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. You've heard of that. So you don't want to be defeated, right? So you want that thrill of victory. So particularly on the Sun Road, when you come back down, I mean, we spent, I don't know, two, maybe 3 hours just getting up there. But on the way down, I mean, we came back down in I think less than an hour, because you're going down here, you're actually zooming down the Sun Road. Okay, so that's your thrill of victory. That's the reward. That's really fun. And so getting back to Kalispell, that's, you'll see in the videos here, we're riding our bicycles around Kalispell. And so we did this as much as we could, because you can't ride your bike in the winter. There's snow. There are some people, I think, that maybe they get fat tires or something like that, and there are places where they might be able to ride. But no, not here. We don't ride in the winter, and snow and ice. So at any rate, we did enjoy riding our bicycles around Kalispell. And so just several summers ago, we moved down about 150 miles south of Kalispell. That's where we are now. So our biking experience has been completely different. We still have our treks, okay, so they are bikes that we still ride. And we were riding around here, and they do have a bike path, but it's along the highway. And so not everybody is real keen on driving the highway. I mean, the scenery's beautiful, but you've got the road noise, and just being close to that traffic really kind of scares me sometimes. It's just too close to the road. I don't like to think of myself as being paranoid, but I think, well, what if one of these vehicles, veers off and runs us over? And so I'm not real crazy about riding on the bike path here. So anyway, we would ride around, and it's been more difficult because it's more strenuous. The hills here are just a little bit different than riding around town in Kalispell, even though Kalispell does have hills, and there are certain places where you need to go up to your location. The riding around here is completely different. Even my younger daughters in their 20s think it's difficult. And so I thought it was maybe me getting older. Okay, I'm getting older, can I still ride a bike like I used to? But they're like, no, this is hard. So it got to a point where David wasn't able to keep up with me. He's like, okay, this is something where I need to do something. Okay, so he wound up electrifying his bike, and then he was able to keep up with me when we were riding around town, and basically on the bike paths, because the roads, we don't live in a neighborhood, okay, so the roads are gravel, and it's not always that easy riding. Some of my other videos might show some background riding on some of those roads. In fact, I know they do. So anyway, so he electrified his bike, and then that allowed him to keep up with me. So he discovered some of these back roads that are absolutely fantastic, scenery wise, getting out in the country, looking at the ranch land and the cows out there, and just a wonderful experience. So he encouraged me to go with him because I wasn't really into riding my bike as much because it had become more difficult. So I said, well, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So anyway, I had gone out with him and I couldn't keep up with him. It was one of those situations where I was starting to feel like, oh my gosh, I am really pushing myself here. It was getting really hard. Some of these hills are just so steep that to think that I was going to be able to ride up those hills, it just wasn't going to happen. And bike riding became something that I wasn't really looking forward to doing because of that. So time goes by and I said, well, maybe, you can electrify my bike for my birthday. So last March, that's what he did. He electrified my track rather. And we have been riding the roads around, the countryside, the beautiful countryside. And they are bumpy and rocky, but it's so much easier with the e-bike. Okay, so I was a little bit reluctant in the beginning to think about getting the e-bike because I didn't want to lose my strength. I kept thinking, well, what if I get the e-bike and then I'll no longer be able to ride a bike? I'll just succumb to riding it like a motorbike, or letting, the bike do the work, and then I won't be able to ride a bike anymore. I'll lose my strength. So anyway, that really hasn't happened because you can use pedal assist. You use pedal assist and you set it to a setting that allows you to use as much of your own effort as you want. And then if you do come to a hill or someplace that you're struggling, you can increase that pedal assist, and it gives you that little extra, assistance to get you up that hill. And so it's turned out to be much better than I ever anticipated. I don't feel like I've lost my strength. In fact, I think I am, maintaining it and gaining strength with the e-bike. And it's just turned cycling into a whole different thing for us here in the Bitterroot Valley. So I would highly recommend cycling if that's something that you want to get back to. Like I said, everybody rides a bike. Everybody knows how to ride a bike. And it's something that retirees can do. You can get out there in the afternoon and ride a bike, and it doesn't matter where you live, really, right? I mean, you can ride around your neighborhood. You can get a bike rack and put your bike on and go to some other places. We used to put our bikes on and go every Friday afternoon, riding around Glacier. We had the same path that we would go, and we would do that. And so there's all kind of options there if you're interested in getting back into bike riding. Maybe you are into bike riding already. So let me know in the comments, where you ride your bike. Do you have an e-bike? What kind of bike do you have? I said in some of my other videos, it's never too late to start doing these things. If you look at my 50 boredom busters, I do have cycling as one of the things as a hobby. And so it's never too late. I mean, I didn't really get into cycling until I was in my 50s and 60s. So it's not like, you can't do it. I mean, there's all kind of bicycles. There's bicycles for every person, every activity level. It's just for you to go in there to the store or look online and do your research or leave us a question. We'd be happy to answer as best as we can. What kind of bikes we have and how maybe we could help you out with any questions you have on cycling and bikes. So I highly encourage you to try it out. If you haven't, ridden a bike in a while, you might find that that's, something that you want to get back into. So that wraps it up for today. Leave your questions and comments below. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thank you for watching. I'm Marlene with Rebel Retirement, and I'll see you next time. Hey, you guys, please take a look around my channel. I have hundreds of videos on topics including Social Security, Medicare, how to get out of debt, pros and cons of moving, relationship issues, health topics, and more. And all of these videos are based on my experience and what I have learned in retirement. And I know that many people are worried about money in retirement, and this is exactly why Rebel Retiree and I created our just-in-time retirement series. And it's absolutely free, you guys, so it doesn't hurt to take a look at it. It's a mindset-based retirement planning strategy that eliminates waste and aligns your finances with your goals and values. With continuous improvement, you free up your resources to create an abundant retirement lifestyle. So I recommend viewing the playlist on this channel. And to get the full picture, visit our website, rebelretirement.com. And if you are nearing retirement and worried about your financial future, you're going to get a whole different viewpoint. See for yourself at rebelretirement.com.